Hey everybody, it's Kathy with Backyard Columbus out here in my backyard doing another episode. So this is actually my favorite place to do this, so I'm going to be really bummed when the weather turns foul this fall and I have to go back inside. So today's episode is about the Monarch Blitz. So what that is about is there are several organizations throughout the country that tracks the monarch butterfly migration. And I'm slaughtering this word, I'm sure. The Xerces Society, Monarch Joint Venture, and the Journey North are all organizations that I'm familiar with, and I'm choosing to take part in this. And the reason is because they want to understand who is seeing the monarch butterflies in their yard, milkweed, butterflies laying eggs, like the monarch butterflies laying eggs, and what turns into a caterpillar and what milkweed that you see. Okay, so this is all important because they need to track what's happening so they can target conservation efforts. Okay, and so you might be thinking like, okay, so a butterfly might be declining, so what's the big frickin' deal? And I suppose you could argue that maybe who gives a crap, but I'm not going to lie, I am a conservationist at heart. I'm an environmentalist at heart, but I'm also very logical at the same time. But I will say that we all have, look, not to get like all ridiculously, existential about the whole affair, but we all have a place on this planet. You know what I mean? And so there are lots and lots of pollinators. So I could understand your argument if you said, okay, what's one lack of a butterfly? I totally get that. But, you know, this is kind of like the World Wildlife Fund. So the World Wildlife Fund has adopted the panda bear as their mascot, I'll say. And it's because everybody loves a panda bear. I've never met one curmudgeon that was like, "Wah, panda bear, I hate them." Like, who hates a panda bear? They're cute, they're cuddly, like, they're just awesome. So a panda bear will draw you in and help to make strides in conservation efforts for the panda bear, but the panda bear is not the only thing that the World Wildlife Fund protects. Do you know what I mean? So you give your money because you're like, oh, cute panda bear, but they also help lots of other species, okay? So the monarch butterfly is kind of what you call a flagship species, and because of the press that they've gotten, and I think it's mostly because of the migration, okay? Not every butterfly, and most butterflies don't migrate. They live in your area, they mate, they lay eggs, they turn into caterpillars, become another butterfly, and then they die not long after that, like they live 10 to 14 days typically. But these fifth generation monarchs make this amazing migration all the way from the northeast of the United States all the way to the Oyamel forest. I think I'm saying that wrong off the top of my head, but anyway, the forests in Mexico, and then they start making the migration back. Okay, so it's a big deal, and they've gotten a lot of press for that. But if you save the habitats for monarchs, okay, so you're all in on monarchs, and you're like, here's my $10, I want to help save monarchs, you are actually going to save a lot of butterflies, a lot of bees, and you may still be thinking like, frickin' so what? Well, so what is, one statistic is 1 in 3 bites you take of food is because a pollinator pollinated that plant. Like vanilla and like zucchini and tomatoes and all these things that flower, almonds, for all of the people who love almond butter and almond milk and almonds, just raw almonds, those take pollinators because otherwise the flowers don't, like, you know what I'm saying? They don't do their thing. They don't get cross-pollinated and make almonds. That like requires a whole process. So this is why it's so important that we conserve this habitat. So all of that is to say, I'm taking part in this Monarch Blitz. So all of those organizations that I mentioned earlier want to know, what have you seen? You can get on their website, and then you can log your sightings on their website. So, you know, I'm out in my yard every single day anyway, so I may as well log in the information because I'm noting it in my Instagram stories and everything else, or in my own brain. So why not share that information? But overwhelmingly, my episode today is to share with you that if you could consider, no matter what your I'll throw this out there, no matter what your political stance is, like conservative, liberal, or whatever, we all have to live on this earth. You know what I mean? And we all need to eat, like that's a fact. And we need pollinators. So it doesn't make you a raging tree hugger. Okay. So anyone who's super duper, like not into conservation, not into tree hugging and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to flip out that you're going to be a tree hugger because you're buying into this. But overwhelmingly, we need those pollinators or we're all going to not do very well. Okay, so that doesn't make you a raging tree hugger to help conserve and preserve habitats for species that we need. So if you could consider, and I'll wind this up by saying, or wrap this up by saying, if you could consider adding native, wherever it is you live, native nectar source plants. So plants that are native to your area and produce nectar, that would be great for the butterflies and bees as well. And pollen plants, they're all usually the same. A native plant that flowers will have the nectar and the pollen that our native butterflies, bees, and all that stuff, and moths need. And if we all just planted a little spot in our yards, patio, or balcony, then actually the problem would be fixed. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about starting this. I'm reporting what I see every day because trust me when I tell you, I go out on my yard every day and I look to see what I can find. And that I've actually chosen to start tagging monarchs this year because they, believe it or not, if you haven't heard this before, they actually tag monarchs with, like, it looks to me like those little stickers you put on an apple or an orange in the produce department. I will assume they're a little bit later than that. They put those on their hind wings and they track them. So if someone finds them, I don't think they scan it. They log in the number and then they figure out who has made it to Mexico, not entirely, but like try to get some rough data on what's going on with the monarch population. So since I always wonder every year, I wonder if my monarchs made it to Mexico, I figured I'd just go all in and tag them anyway. So, I mean, how much more time could I possibly be putting into this? It takes up my whole life during the summertime, plus a full-time job. So why not just go down the rabbit hole, right? So anyway, again, overwhelmingly, I'm just encouraging you to think about perhaps this fall carving out a little space for nature. You doesn't even have to take a lot of your time. So if you have any questions, drop me a line. I will be happy to answer with what I know. And again, as always, I thank you for listening. Have a great day.